presentation.
Great. Thank you so much, Karen, for having me. I'm Gillian Shapiro. I am the Chronic Disease Program Specialist in the Barry Office of Local Health. And we're going to be talking about creating dementia-friendly libraries. And thank you for anybody who filled out their pre-test survey. Notice a lot of them coming back. If you haven't had a chance to do that yet, I'll just put the link in the chat really quick. And if you wouldn't mind doing it in the next minute or two, that'd be great, just as we start going over the high-level objectives for our time together. So these are our learning goals and objectives. These are the things that we're going to be covering together. So we will discuss, and hopefully by the end, you will understand the warning signs of dementia, the 10 warning signs, understand the benefits of a dementia-friendly community and what is a dementia-friendly community, how to create a dementia-friendly library, how to interact with library patrons with dementia, uh, understand the importance of offering culturally sensitive programs and materials, how to integrate some of this programming into the community, how to create a dementia-friendly physical space, and I'll leave you with a slide of educational resources for further review and highlight some community partners in this work. So brain health is an increasing public health priority in the US and in our Vermont communities. The proportion of Vermonters over the age of 65 is continuing to increase, and brain health refers to one's ability to remember, learn, play, concentrate, and generally have a clear and active mind. So this includes things like information management, logic, judgment, perspective, and wisdom. Brain health is influenced by several factors, including genetics, diet, exercise, stress, sleep, social connection, and substance use. And as we age, these abilities naturally change, and it's normal to experience slower thinking speeds, have trouble multitasking, or occasionally forgetting things like misplacing your keys or forgetting a name you just learned. However, memory changes that result in cognitive impairment are not a normal part of aging. However, age is a risk factor for dementia. I want to play this very short video here, this clip here on memory loss, and memory loss that interferes with daily life is not a normal part of aging. So I'll just play this. So the video touched on some of these warning signs. These are the 10 warning signs of Alzheimer's disease. And Alzheimer's is the most common cause of dementia, which is a general term for memory loss and other cognitive abilities serious enough to interfere with daily life. Alzheimer's disease accounts for 60 to 80% of dementia cases, and Alzheimer's is not a normal part of aging. And I'm going to ask if you would write yes in the chat if you know someone living with Alzheimer's or any type of dementia. I think a lot of us will. See a lot of yeses. Yeah, it's really important that we have these discussions because many of us know at least one person who is suffering. So these are the 10 warning signs. So memory loss that disrupts normal life. So that includes repeating oneself, forgetting important names or events, difficulty problem solving or planning. So having trouble following a recipe or playing games, challenges completing familiar tasks. So that could be having trouble using a cell phone or with driving, confusion with time or place. So this is losing track of time or getting lost in familiar places, trouble with spatial awareness, so that refers to clumsiness and issues with balance. New problems with language refers to things like forgetting words or having trouble forming a sentence, frequently misplacing items and having difficulty retracing your steps, decreased judgment. So this could be having difficulty caring for a pet or for having poor hygiene, not managing money well. Withdrawal from work or social activities could include just not wanting to go to usual social events that used to be interesting for you. Changes in mood or personality, so that could include easily becoming irritable or upset. So, dementia friendly communities can include a village, town, city, or county. They are informed, safe, and respectful of individuals living with dementia, their families, and caregivers. They provide supportive options that foster quality of life for the person living with dementia, for their families and caregivers. And it's a process of becoming more dementia friendly. It's not really a destination or something to check off the list. If you check off these 10 things, you're dementia friendly. It's a continual process of improvement. And we'll talk more about that. And why are dementia friendly communities important? A dementia diagnosis comes with significant barriers to navigating daily life. And I have just a few statistics here to illustrate. In 2020, 91% of older Vermonters surveyed lived in their own home. 21% of Vermont adults are over the age of 65, and this number is increasing. And of those adults, 36% who live alone report subjective cognitive decline. So that is the self-reported experience of worsening or more frequent confusion or memory loss. It's a form of cognitive impairment and one of the earliest noticeable symptoms of Alzheimer's disease and related dementia. And in light of these statistics, establishing dementia friendly communities has never been more important. The number of older adults will continue to increase in Vermont. How we conduct business, provide services, and design our communities impacts all Vermonters, and especially those living with dementia. Dementia-friendly communities help people living with dementia stay in their homes longer because they will have the support they need in the community, in the places they and their care partners and families visit. So the benefits of dementia-friendly communities include implementing dementia-friendly practices in the settings where people with dementia and their caregivers and families go. There are many benefits to these communities. So it creates a calm and peaceful environment to people with dementia, which is really important. It makes the environment safe and respectful for individuals living with dementia, their families and caregivers, and it can promote intergenerational connections to help break down barriers, combat ageism, and increase social interaction, which is incredibly important. It promotes dementia-friendly practices across all different sectors in a community, which benefits everyone. And those sectors include transportation, banks, grocery stores, retail stores, and other places that people with dementia and their care partners go. And we'll talk a little bit more about this. I'm not sure if you can see how well you can see this slide, but this is the goal is to become a dementia-friendly state. And to do that, we start with our communities and the various settings and sectors where people interact on a regular basis. So retail stores, the library, banks, airports, faith communities, municipal government, residential care homes, healthcare providers, transportation providers, and more. This graphic is on our Department of Health website. I have the link here, and I'll share this presentation. You can drill down into each of these clouds, which are the different sectors, for more information and resources. And of course, you know this, libraries interact with a wide spectrum of the communities you serve, and the population interested in dementia-related programs is equally broad, which makes libraries particularly well-suited to offering such programming. There's benefits from dementia-focused programs, events, information, and services might include individuals living with memory loss, those living with a dementia diagnosis, care partners, professionals, and community members interested in the issues of dementia and healthy aging. Anyone impacted by dementia, either personally, as a family member, a professional, or community member, may benefit from participating. I'm going to play this brief video here. There are a lot of really great resources on the Dementia Friends USA website. So interacting with people with dementia, you won't always know if someone's been diagnosed, but these tips can be helpful if you notice any changes or any of the warning signs with your regular patrons. So speaking clearly and being patient, listening closely to what's being said and maybe to what's not being said, smiling warmly, making eye contact, responding to a look of distress or when confusion is present, providing help, and watching for any kind of signs of change and offering help accordingly, because every day can be different. These are some ways to take action in the library: offering opportunities for meaningful engagement or working with community partners to bring music, art, or poetry programming to the library. Offering library materials that are helpful specifically for caregivers of people with dementia, because often it's a very isolating and also a very stressful job being a caregiver, and they need information and education and support. So I invite you to put in the chat how your library engages with caregivers and with people living with dementia. What are some of the current programs that your library hosts? Let's give that a minute. Oh, Memory Cafe, that's wonderful. I'll move on. We'll see if anything else pops up. Any other ideas? Here's some ways you can offer materials that engage.
Oh, hello.
Oh, can
Hold
you
on one
please mute?
second.
If you wouldn't mind, please muting. That would be great. So
How did it
these are
go?
Here's some ways to, offer materials, ideas about offering materials that can engage and stimulate people living with the disease. So offering both adult and children's collections, nonfiction books on a variety of topics, short fiction such as folk tales, myths, and excerpts from full-length books and poetry. Books that are highly illustrated with color photos with popular subjects can include animals or flowers, fashion, travel, old cars. Books that are good for reading aloud, which would have text that should be short and have a simple storyline. Seeing some other ideas in the chat. Local musicians. Oh, that's wonderful. Photo voice gallery. Oh, that's lovely. Thank you for sharing. So more materials to offer. So local history and biographies of famous persons written in an easy to understand style and format, offering audiobooks, magazines, music, videos in multiple formats. So CDs, downloadable, paper, just depending on how tech savvy people are, just having lots of different options can be helpful. I want to talk a bit about cultural sensitivity. So this means selecting library materials that reflect the history and experience of diverse groups and having a variety of media available to accommodate language barriers. Making sure that the needs and interests of all cultural communities are considered when planning how you will serve people with dementia, and offering individual appointments to the person and their care partner to help them choose materials that interest them, keeping their current abilities in mind and being respectful of their dignity and their personhood. Some ideas for engagement and for support. Might want to think about it displaying a dementia-friendly corner with books to inform and support people living with dementia, family caregivers, and youth as well during National Alzheimer's Disease Awareness Month and National Family Caregiver Month, which happens to be now, November. So that worked out nicely with the timing. We might want to create memory boxes or reminiscence kits for patrons to check out. And the boxes or kits are theme defined and might contain childhood toys, board games, crafts from previous decades, and local memorabilia. Offering some take-home resources, so bags of materials appropriate for people living with dementia and for their caregivers. So the bag for someone living with dementia could include adult or children's nonfiction books on a themed topic with colorful photos, activity books, a music CD, and an exercise DVD. So it's important to continue moving. The bag for family caregivers can include books to support and educate the caregiver, a relaxation CD, because it can be quite stressful being a caregiver, and often it's on people are caregivers on top of having a full-time job and families and just um, lots going on in their own lives. Educational DVDs on the disease that can be very helpful. So some ideas for hosting programs in the library. So you can be a site for educational programs on dementia, Alzheimer's disease, and brain health. So connecting with other CDDs. So in my role, I'm the chronic disease designee, as we call it at the Department of Health. So this is actually something that I do in my role as CDD in Washington County and Northern Orange County. So there are 12 offices of local health throughout Vermont, each with their own CDD. So I will send you a contact list of all the chronic disease designees after this meeting within the next few days. That way you can connect with your local CDD and you can coordinate educational programming on brain health and healthy aging at your library. This is something that we do. You might want to offer educational programming also specific to caregivers, and might want to just be a site for support groups for people living with dementia and their caregivers. Another idea is to offer a book club or create a book club kit, which would include an Alzheimer's disease related book, study group questions, and a flyer listing community resources. Consider hosting a memory cafe, which is already in the works in some libraries, which is wonderful. So these are some ideas of how to take the library services and materials to your community. So you can bring programs using library materials to senior living communities, senior centers, and adult day centers in your area. One example is the Tales and Travel Memories program, and that's an imaginary excursion to a destination around the globe. The program takes participants with early and mid-stage dementia on an excursion using readings, folk tales, pictures, and music resources to immerse them in the place. And I have a link here in the slides to learn more. You might want to offer a one-person bookmobile and take a selection of books to senior living communities. You might want to provide a read aloud program in congregate living and adult day settings, or deliver library materials that are carefully chosen to meet the interests and abilities of your homebound patrons. So, bringing the library to them, or offer a mobile library service. So now I want to talk about how to create a dementia-friendly physical space, because small changes in a physical space can make a big difference in making the environment feel safe to someone with dementia. There are many best practices you can consider to improve access for people with dementia, and most are relatively low cost and can benefit everyone, including people with dementia. So creating a welcoming environment, both indoors and outdoors, helps people with dementia continue to access your library. So entrances should be clearly visible, marked, and understood as an entrance. You want to make sure that any glass doors are clearly marked. Any signage for finding your way around the library should be clear, using bold type, and should have contrast in terms of the color between the words and the background, so that you can they can easily see or read what it says. The lighting at the entrance should be high powered and include natural light when possible. So you want to avoid pools of bright light and deep shadows. The flooring should be plain, not shiny, not slippery. Pathways should be wide and free of clutter. And a family all gender restroom will allow someone to be assisted without causing embarrassment to them or to another user. So here's some next steps. So convening a group of key community stakeholders or partners can look like, including a library director or having a designated staff member, including community members, uh, if at all possible, a person trained in dementia care, like a support group facilitator, and if at all possible, including someone with lived experience with dementia or as a caregiver. So assess your library's capacity to serve as a resource hub, identify an individual that's best suited to lead the program, uh, think about what types of programs or services you want to offer, think about the funding concerns related to such programs and potential sources. Um, Think about larger community involvement and dementia training for library staff, like we talked about a few slides ago. So that's connecting with your Office of Local Health and the CDD there to bring in brain health educational programming, and share resources, information, and news about events in a consistent place. So here are some good educational resources. A lot of these are where I pulled information for these slides. So the 10 warning signs, I have a link there. Dementia Friendly America is a wonderful website that has the sector video that we saw on libraries, and it breaks down all the different sectors in dementia friendly communities and has little short videos on each one, and just has highlights in terms of what those communities would look like as dementia-friendly communities. This next one seems really interesting. I unfortunately could not access it because you need a login, but I assume that everybody on this call might have a login because it has to do with library association. So as iGuard provides, it provides specific library services to people living with dementia. So I wanted to include that. Um, this developing a dementia-friendly partnership with your public library was a great resource. Had a lot of community examples, articles, and online resources that I thought would be really helpful. The next link is for the VDH Brain Health and Dementia page. There are loads of resources there. And this very last link was a video on memory cafes, and it starts around 55 minutes, but the whole webinar is very interesting. These are some ideas in terms of who to partner with in the community and just some further resources. Area agencies on aging are a wonderful partner, and I listed their helpline there. The Alzheimer's Association in Vermont, they have a 24/7 helpline, and I've listed that phone number here for any question whatsoever about Alzheimer's, or about the disease itself, or about caregiving, anything you can think of really. This next one is to the VDH page again, and to the 12 offices of local health, our district offices. And again, I will send out a one-pager with uh, contact information for all the chronic disease specialists. The next link is for DALE, which is the Vermont Department for Disabilities, Aging, and Independent Living. A lot of great resources there. And then in general, your senior centers provide loads of programs and can be a great partner as well. And this Aging Resources Guidebook had a lot of good information. So those are some ideas to start you off. And yeah, so here's my contact information again, and I will share the slides. So if you have any questions, either right after this, or if you think of something later, you want to email me or call me, feel free to do that. So with that, I will stop sharing and see if there are any questions. Also, there will be a post-training survey that I will send out after this as well. So I'd appreciate if everyone can take that and just think about their ideas of what they want to implement at their library.